Heard this gospel about the vineyard, and it was a kind of a harsh story that the owner of the vineyard wanted to reap his investments and get back his vineyard, but the people whom he entrusted with this vineyard did not agree, and actually they fought with him. And they kind of claimed ownership of what they were entrusted with. But I'll just go back and I'll focus on a few verses from the letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians. St. Paul, his style of service was, he had his primary focus on why he was doing what he was doing, why he was called. And he was called that he would win many. And for this reason, he developed his style of teaching, serving, and relating with the people. And he was the most of the apostles that was fought, that was accused, that was resisted, because he really wanted to preach the true gospel of the Lord. I'll just read this. For though I am free from all men, I have made myself a servant to all, that I might win the more. So he had the realistic expectation that he would serve all, but he would win some, or he would win most of them. And to the Jews I became as a Jew, that I might win Jews. To those who are under the law, as under the law, that I might win those who are under the law. To those who are without law, as without law, and then not being without law toward God, and under law toward Christ, that I might win those who are without the law. To the weak I became as weak, that I might win the weak. I have become all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. Now this, and here's the purpose. Now this I do for the gospel's sake, that I may be partaker of it with you. He had a clear vision that he is doing everything for the gospel, to partake of the gospel. And some people might take this against St. Paul, that he had no true color because he was everything to everyone, and he did not have a stance on the issues. But actually, because of his service and because of his vision, half of the Bible is of the New Testament is written by him, and he has almost preached the entire world in his time. So what is the gospel? You know, the gospel, the basic definition is the good news, but more of that is that it is the unconditional love for God, of God to all. This is what we preach. Unconditional love for everyone. And that Jesus Christ is the Son of the living God, that he came, he took our body, crucified, died, and rose from the dead to save you and me. And not just you and me who are just privileged few in this church, but God loved the whole world. He sent his only begotten Son that he may save the whole world. So the true gospel, what we do when we preach, is to restore people, is to bring people back to their Creator, is to bring people back to their created image of God in them. And this is what Jesus told the disciples in Mark 16:15. He said to them, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature." Not just us here. Not just the people we like or we feel comfortable with, or the people who agree with us. But we preach the gospel to everyone, especially to those who are different from us. And this is why St. Paul was everything to everyone, that he might win some. But this has not been our experience, right? Our experience with religion and with churches, that we tend to be rigid. We tend to fall into groups. We like being into groups. And it has resulted in divisions. This church versus that church. This denomination versus that denomination. And we engaged in being sects. And I just looked up the word sectarianism, and the dictionary told me that it's excessive attachment to certain sect or party, especially in religion. Excessive attachment to an idea, to a sect, to a party, especially in religion. But we didn't see this with St. Paul. And we do not see this with the true people of the gospel. Paul practiced and taught relationship first, out of the good news of the gospel. It was more about being engaged with the people and their struggles, rather than standing here in my place and just saying some words and then everybody leaves. It's about being invested in people's lives, with their struggles, with the things that I don't agree with, by the way, not with the things I agree. It's about engaging in this environment of safe conversations, safe interactions with everyone, because in my mind, I want to win this person. Not from me, not from my own sect, but I want to win this person for Christ. Exactly like Christ. What did Christ do? After centuries and generations lost in rigid teachings, he came, he took your body and my body, he lived with us, he engaged in our life, he ate with us, he walked with us. His first public event was a wedding, and he made them wine to rejoice and drink and celebrate. He was with people in everything they did. And he invested in their life. And from within their life, he began the conversation. He began his teachings. And he started to heal people, to touch people. This is what the gospel is. This is what our church should look like, engaging with the world, not to close our doors off to the world. He met people where they are. He went to the Samaritan. He went to the sinful woman, where everyone was ready to judge her and stone her and kill her. He said, "No, she's under my wing. You cast your stone first if you are without sin." He did not live in isolation. And this is what we are trying hard to do, is not to live in isolation, but there is a push and pull. And like this gospel story or parable that we just heard, the vineyard is not ours. The church is not mine. I am only, and we are only, are entrusted with the gospel, which to set people free, not to keep them captive inside a building or inside an idea. This is the true gospel. So when you talk with your son or your daughter about something different, what do? You said, no, this is not us. The haram, this is wrong. Don't ever think about that. Don't even say this word. Or would you take the other route of being like Christ, like St. Paul, open a conversation, invite a safe environment of conversation. Let's talk. I see this, do you see that? And let's plant seeds of the kingdom. Because the kingdom is all about planting seeds, like, you know, the parable of the sower. What Jesus did, he planted seeds while he was engaged with people and their struggles and their lives. And from these seeds became fruit. Seeds of faith needs to be planted, not walls as barriers between people. And I hope that we grow in this way. We grow in faith, not to close ourselves, not to close our church doors, not to close our minds, but growing in faith means being open, being grounded in what you believe, having a strong conviction, and because of this strong faith, you will become everyone to everyone. To the weak, I will become a weak. To the Jew, to the Greek, to those who are different than me, I will engage with their life. We don't want the church to be a cold place. We don't want us to be cold believers. Believers are on fire, by the way. And I said this many times. There is a big difference between religious people who follow a religion and a teaching and people who are true believers. True believers actually are stronger and grounded more than people who agree with certain teachings because they received it and they just close their minds because it is easier to follow than to think, and then to invite, than to engage, than to be like the Lord himself. So next time you have an maybe uncomfortable talk with your children, with your coworkers, with your family, with your neighbors, welcome that uncomfort. Welcome that discomfort. Welcome that the state of saying, you know what, I don't know. I've believed this all my life, but I'm not really sure. Let me check. Let's talk. Let's research. Let's read. Because our children see us. Maybe they don't talk, they don't comment, but in their heads, they already view us in a certain way, that they worry about their future. They worry about maybe the relationships when they bring someone that's not Orthodox Christian, when they bring someone in their life that is maybe not Christian, what to do with this person. And instead of us being inside walls. Let's open these walls. Let's welcome the conversation. Let's welcome everybody and acknowledge those who are different, because this is the true gospel that we preach every day. We never preach a gospel of close-mindedness. We never preach a gospel of I am right and you're wrong. No. We preach a gospel of let's talk. Isn't this what God said in Isaiah in the Old Testament? Let's debate, let's talk. بالعربي معلش هقولها بيقول ايه؟ هلم نتحاجج يقول الرب. Let's talk, let's converse, the Lord says. So be careful of this gospel, that we may not become, we don't steal the vineyard and claim it as it's our own. No, the vineyard has an owner. He will come sooner or later, and he would ask the return on his investments. So let's take care of that vineyard by living the true gospel, which is engaging with people, not inside these walls, but outside. To him all glory forever. Amen.